Welcome, everyone. I'm Rochelle Wilhite, and with me is Shannon Hall, both designated brokers, and we wanted to share with you what we've been experiencing over the last couple months. And it's time that we had this webinar. We're just going to go ahead and share some things that will keep you out of trouble. So hopefully tonight you're going to learn a few tips from people that are having to intersect between AI and contracts and legal matters. So we're going to be covering that tonight because clients are definitely they've gone completely wild with AI.
It's the Wild West. It's the Wild West. Yeah.
And we're noticing it on like a high level. I think I've shared with some of you, but I'll share with the YouTube world right now. Uh, Last year we had, you can go to the next slide. Last year we had, you know, a lot of people using AI, but this year I budgeted for more for legal. And the reason why is because I knew it was coming. In 2026, the consumers are weaponizing using AI. The agents adopted a few years ago. In
Yeah,
fact, many of
everybody's
you.
done their fun little AI videos and their
Yep.
fun little AI pictures and things like that. But then here's the reality is now it's also in the consumer's hands and it is weaponized. So it's in essence, this is the new tactic that we're seeing for them legally that they're using against us as their agents.
So we're going to cover some things, but just to bring people up to speed, we're talking about these types of products that people are using. These are all AI products. Your client is probably on one of these, Perplexity, Gemini. A lot of them started with Perplexity. I think even Tom Ferry two
We've
years
got the
ago,
Grok, we've got the Chat
all of them.
GPT, and then like the newest and greatest, I'd say right now that everybody's hearing about and seeing the ads for is Claude. But there's a lot of them out there. There's a lot of access to them. Most technology products are using or leveraging some form or fashion of AI.
But I like this slide because it kind of breaks it down like who owns what, right? Anthropic is a new company. Many you don't know what we talk about. Google, Amazon, Salesforce, all are part of that Claude. That's why you're seeing and hearing a lot more about Claude. And Google is a Gemini product, and then Microsoft, ChatGPT, and OpenAI, they're all together in that camp. So that's what's going on right now, is a lot of movement between all those products. I wanted to put up something on the screen to show you. This is one of my friends back into his website. He also uses Real Geeks in his company's website. I didn't want to share ours, but I can share a sample of basically the tracking that's happened for him. How many people are using ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, Perplexity, Grok? He checks this all the time. He's a nut. And if you have your own website, which we have our own website at Best Choice, you will want to go in more frequently and see the movement. Claude is definitely moving up. I think this is, 60 days old. And he's noticing a trend that Claude is becoming more of a session or total users than even what you see here on the screen. So this is an old graph, but he's tracking that. And I think it's pretty smart. If you run your own website, Shannon, at this point in
Yeah.
time, you should know your Google Analytics and know where your clients, where they're
They're
looking.
finding us more as a real estate agent too through the Chat GPTs, through the Claudes, through Gemini. They're using that as their search engine like we would have had 20 years ago with just Google, and it's all with the AI bots now. So the way that your search engine optimization might want to take a peek at that, even just throw that into chat, I think, just to see how it's showing up because they're asking questions like, is this person professional? Is this person legitimate? Those types of things.
So we've had, now that everybody's using it, right? They're all kind of in it.
Yeah.
Shannon, explain what the hallucination pipeline is. I think this is kind of a
Oh, yeah.
fascinating slide that we put together real quick. How a 10-second prompt could really change up and cause
Right.
a
I mean,
delay.
this is exactly kind of like I'm talking about previously, and this has happened several times. This is not just like an isolated incident. This is happening to every brokerage where buyers are using their AI bots and asking questions. Is the seller legally obligated to do XYZ? Is my agent supposed to pay for XYZ? And what the AI is going to do is it comes across real confident. So when it's pulling all of that information, it's going to try and find some sort of basis where they might have a claim, whether or not it's legitimate or not. So it's going to then put something together, and the agent, or the client's going to see that and say, "Oh yeah, my client definitely, or my agent definitely owes me money. AI, please put together some sort of email communication or some sort of formal demand letter or something that I can give them or give to their boss, and then I can get my money, or then I can get, some sort of benefit that they're looking for." And so that hallucination process, it doesn't mean that they're legitimate, it doesn't mean that they're right or wrong. They're just going to find some way to rationalize the results of the query. And then what ends up happening is there have been circumstances, and we'll share one here on the screen in a second, where especially if it's in the middle of a transaction, the timelines can stop. The escrow can freeze because people have said, "Oh, XYZ was not done. So and so was not paid. So and so did not perform on this circumstance. So we're going to hold off on closing or signing our papers because of the AI."
Because it's hallucinated.
Yes, yes. So here's kind of a fun way, or I guess not quite yet, but this is another kind of way. This is another way to describe that, where the AI in essence is using language to make it, I guess, hallucinate and kind of get the consumer what they're looking for, to make it seem like they have a claim, even though it may be non-existent. So a good example of that is they say, is the seller supposed to do XYZ? Is the seller supposed to replace the hot water tank before I move in? Rather than saying, they're going to use the word like compensate. Yes, the buyer must be compensated because this was not done. Rather than, no, the seller didn't need to compensate. The seller just needed to disclose maybe the material defect or something like that. The AI is not an attorney. It's going to go over all the things that it thinks it might be, rather than, and it's going to come across real convincing, even though it's not actually a fact. So here's
what the disclose thing on the screen here, where it says disclose, legally accurate word, that's usually ignored. When you prompt the AI, even if you do a pretty good job of prompting it in whatever state you do real estate in, most of the AI products are going to just not, they're going to want to go to the compensate because they're that confident.
Oh yeah,
they're right.
They're real confident. They go 110%. They're 100% certain that they must be true. The AI is, without giving room for error. But yeah, the proper terminology that they would use in that kind of scenario would be a disclosure. But this is the reality of all of this stuff that's circulating. Is we as an office even like get served paperwork that looks like this.
This is Jana. This one was just in the office today. Yes. This is just the addenda that was created by one of the consumers who filed a claim against our E&O and our insurance and our office and our basically best choice.
Now, whether or not they're founded or not. Yeah, but they're submitting all of this legal paperwork. Now, what happens when you have all of this legal paperwork that they have now served us is now we have to review every single paperwork. Now, an attorney has to review every single paperwork, whether or not it is right or wrong. It's just, this is what ends up happening because they're empowered by the AI. This is another kind of example, I'd say, where it can delay closing. Something as simple as this. This is a situation that came up where a consumer found out that there was a property that they wanted to lay claim and interest to. They use AI. And this is kind of funny. If you guys been playing with AI, you know that this looks like AI responses, where they are using the AI to draft legal language that looks pretty serious, pretty damning.
I think the word affidavit of heirship. Yes. That sounds pretty.
Yes. And really, when it ends up taking what used to take someone maybe weeks or months to kind of contemplate and put their thoughts together and get advice, to put something like this forward takes them a couple seconds. And now this has been certified to us. And was it actually sent to the Pierce County Superior Court? What's kind of funny about this circumstance that you have on your screen is that no, it was not properly filed. It didn't actually go through an attorney. did they have a claim to it? I'm not sure how it ended up shaking out, but it's just the whole fact that the consumer was using AI to make a claim. And when they did, this immediately stalled the closing, like severely,
Yeah.
severely. So,
We're talking
um,
not just days, like on that other slide, 10
tens
days.
of
It was
thousands of dollars too.
and months of a delay.
Yeah.
I think it still may close, but it's going to take much more work on the agent's part. Our agent has that to contend with, as well as the title companies. They're not exempt from all of the AI usage as well.
Yeah.
So, what's interesting about this one is a lot of the emails that I receive on a regular basis, or you receive, Shannon, as a designated broker of wherever we're practicing, what we're seeing is they're coming in the form of an email because it's quick, right? You can just
And it's
five
fast.
minutes and you're done, right? You can respond, and we could use AI to
Yeah.
respond to them. I
Copy
mean,
paste from the little chat GPT and throw it in an email and send.
but clients are even getting more sophisticated in that they're sending it like they're filing suit on their own. This is literally that page right before. It wasn't a suit that was filed against one of our agents and against our firm by using 100% chat, but we have to go through the legal process of responding to that complaint in a legal fashion.
Right.
And then they have the ability to use their AI bot to then form more
We're fighting,
basis.
basically, you're fighting a robot with, you can't keep up. It's hard to keep up in those types
So
of
they're
circumstances.
using certified mail, they're using certified delivers and handlers. They're now, the consumers are armed with this AI product, and whether they know how to use it or not,
Yeah.
they're going to become a little bit of a hassle for you if you don't listen to some of the things we're
Right.
teaching you tonight. So
Right. So here's another kind of thing as a real estate agent too, before we kind of go into solutions, because we do have solutions. It's not so doom and gloomy, I promise. But this is kind of one thing for you guys is when you get those types of AI or legal things, you have to be very, very careful about how you yourself are using or passing along AI information. Because when you're doing that, you're in essence taking ownership over
yeah.
that. And if that ends up going into some sort of legal court where they say, what did you say? Why did you say that? Where did that information come from? And you're like, I didn't mean to say that. Chat GPT wrote it. That's not a legal defense. That's not that's not the it's not going to get you out of jail free card. It's not how that works. So
And
be careful
and
about that.
we have been guilty of forwarding, drafting addenda using AI. And I'm sure other real estate agents and other companies are doing that as well. But when you do that type of work, when you're drafting something, you assume 100% of the liability.
Yeah.
You cannot afford to do that. And many of you don't have the money to pay for some of those legal expenses. So be
Yeah.
very cautious and not rely 100% on that AI.
So these are some kind of other situations, and I think it's important to kind of throw the real situations on the screen so you guys can see, because we've got some agents that we bring it to their attention that this looks like it's likely some sort of AI that provided the information, no different than fraud, where we're like, is that some sort of fraud thing? Let's maybe flag that. We're having to basically flag potential AI in many cases too. So this is an email that we got. Looks pretty serious. I'm writing to bring this to your attention of an unresolved payment matter.
This was over a year and a half,
Yeah,
mind you, Shannon.
closing occurred almost 2 years ago, and the consumer comes barreling through with some sort of claim. They're after $500. They want $500. And so, is this written by chat? Is this not? And what's kind of interesting is that with all the AI that's out there, there are AI detectors. And so when I get an email like this, and I'm pretty certain I'll throw it into an AI detector and hey, look at that, 100%. 100% written by Chat GPT or Gemini or something. And same thing with one like this. This is one that was under contract. The buyer's agent wanted to delay the closing because the seller had things in the fridge. No
What
joke.
cracks me up.
And they went through their final walkthrough and they said, no, we are not going to close on time. And even though seller has moving plans and yada, yada, yada. So when we get something like this, again, you have to disseminate a little bit rather than just gut wrenching responding and think, okay, who am I really truly battling here? And yeah, 100% AI. on this type of email. So my advice to both of these agents that received this type of correspondence was to break the cycle in many cases. So we'll go into that here in a minute and how to solve for this. But one thing about AI detectors is they're not impervious to their own failures. Some of them are, they're going to do a pretty dang good job, but they can get it wrong sometimes. So just be careful, I would say, about how often you're using the AI detectors and who you're using the AI detectors against.
What we don't want is that you're going to be using the AI detectors and discriminate without really knowing you're discriminating.
Yeah.
For example, we have a lot of people that speak different languages at Best Choice Realty, and we want to make sure that you're not segregating that type of person when you're saying, oh, I'm always getting these types of responses, so I'm going to only put in and do an AI checker on the people that speak
so
Mandarin,
there's no legal that I know of that is around that, but I would say just be careful about it and don't put 100% faith on it or call someone out on it, because it immediately will put someone on the defensive and it could escalate a matter even worse than what it is. But it is a helpful tool in understanding who you are communicating with truly, because if you have that type of certainty on 1 to 2 different AI detectors that's 100% AI, you likely are dealing with an AI bot. So some kind of additional patterns, people ask
this would be like if you're not going to use an AI detector, which I don't use an AI detector. Shannon does.
Not all the time. No, not all the time. But I think there's a lot of agents that are out there that they're like, Shannon, how did you know? Or Rochelle, how did you know that was written by AI? Like, what am I looking for in these emails to kind of flag me, so that way I can disseminate the information and be able to kind of be a little bit more critical about how it's displaying or how I respond. So these are some samples, I would say, of what to flag in your mind. So the sentence says, it's not just about the cost of the roof repair. It's about the safety of the living environment. Now, do humans talk like this when they're talking about roof repairs?
You did, Shannon, before ChatGPT.
I maybe did, and I've had to adjust maybe the way that I speak a little bit, but they rely heavily on this. It's not this, it's this. They're trying to be super punchy about the way that they build their sentences. Another kind of marker, I would say, is the M dashes. And this like broke my heart when I figured out that ChatGPT was like using the M dashes, because I love to use them when I was drafting things and how I was writing emails and things like that. But this is a big trigger point, especially when you're getting two and in the same sentence. So this one says, the buyer, M dash, after reviewing the documents, has decided to proceed with caution, specifically regarding the HVAC. It just is, it's not only sounding like it's not a human speaking, but it also has those flags of the M dashes. So be very careful.
So if you're using AI to write for you, which I think is really good. It helps polish a lot of the things. Yeah. Just ask it to remove the dashes. That's, I think, the biggest takeaway from this slide.
Yep, for sure. And then here's another kind of way to kind of take a look at how things are used. They love a good title. AI loves a good title, so they're going to capitalize every single letter in the sentence. So this one says, crucial concerns regarding property condition. Every letter is capitalized. They like a good title that perfectly summarizes the entire situation.
With bullet points or hashes.
Rather than saying something like, hey, please reply when you have a second, or something like that. Like, that would be a lot more human syntax. And then they've got this kind of delving into, we're going to dive right into, they use this kind of terminology, bullet points early on into your emails would, in essence, be another kind of trigger thing. And then obviously there's an M dash. You see it? Comes up again. There it is.
So yeah, I mean, people are going to be stressed out. That's why humans use AI, because they are either limiting on some of their communication styles or their emails. I mean, let's be honest. Some of the kids going through school these days, I have a hard time writing. And so this AI is a kind of a great thing, because now they can sound even much more professional, but actually we'll show you in a minute, you lose the attention span. You actually lose the human connection. And what that does is it causes you to not get responses as much, maybe to your emails or to your texts, because somebody has found you out. you
Yeah,
know?
yeah. So in essence, be very careful about how you're formatting emails. I think they have it on here. Sent from my iPhone is actually a good thing, because it actually shows that that was someone who legitimately was responding to something, being super specific. So if you're sending out newsletters or you're sending out emails and they're super specific on the areas and the market and the micro markets and things like that, that's going to be good for you rather than being like in general or what we see as a whole, things like that that get super vague or generic. That would be a bot in that way. And then that confidence factor as well, not leaving any room for error is another kind of
So
trigger.
Virginia teaches the new agents, you guys. This is a little secret. If you haven't taken any classes from Virginia, but she says to the new agents, and she's not wrong, do it ugly. Because just doing it and getting something out or responding and being human about it is going to be much better than if you think about it way too long and make it too perfect and then you
Yeah.
don't get the response that you're looking
Yeah,
for.
so typos, for instance, I my mother is a teacher and she would die. Like the way that I would build things, I'm always self-correcting and making sure everything is a complete sentence and everything is structured perfectly. And typos are actually the clearest indication that's a human. It just
Mhm.
it just is.
So you
Uh,
might want to think about that when you get your AI response.
Right. So as you're kind of looking at an email or looking at some sort of legal response, this is kind of the path to follow. I think most agents, they stop at the identify and they go straight to document. They skip these middle steps here, and this is where things can escalate, they can get worse.
Somebody was
Um,
asking in the chat, Shannon, about, what do we do when we get a legal complaint or an email? Like, what is our process? This
yeah.
is our process. So if you're
Yes.
wanting to know what is our process when we
Yep.
receive something that's like pretty damaging or like credibility or challenging how
Yeah.
you guys represented that particular client, we first put the identification. We
Yep.
try to run it through any
Just
kind of.
pause. Basically, identify and pause. Okay, what
Mhm.
are we looking at? What is the claim? Is there merit? Those types of things. Stop. Do not reply. So one of the ones that I showed you where the the agent got a pause to escrow because they found some things in the fridge. She did the right thing and she hit pause and she called me and she goes, "What do I do?"
Yep.
So in that circumstance, yeah, don't just instinctively reply. Don't just gut response and
Don't use the
reply
AI and just
emotionally.
respond too.
Don't reply with the AI. No. So just hit the stop button. Maybe pick up the phone with that person or maybe call a friend, right? Pick up the phone, talk to the person that sent you that response and see what they said. And I like on the screen, it says, I received your email, but I want to make sure I understand what you're looking for. And that's exactly what I would say, which is, hey, I got your email. I'm a little confused. Can you help me walk me through what you're looking for
Yep.
here? And you'd be surprised where they'll start kind of walking back on what they said, maybe, or peeling back and be like, oh, well, it came across really serious, but really, I'm just looking for this. I know we were asking for the full roof, but really we just need someone to go out and verify and give us a roof cert.
You guys, we're getting people that on the inspection responses, it doesn't matter if you're in Washington, Oregon, or Idaho, they're using AI to kind of form their list of
They're
demands or the
putting their whole
repairs.
inspection report in and saying, "Hey, give me what I want."
Right. And
Yeah.
so that's where Shan's saying, identify that maybe they are using some AI to help them create that. It's very complex to buy a
Yeah.
home.
Yep.
And so and now that they have the empowerment, to
Oh
actually
yeah.
negotiate, then stop and just pick up the phone. I think that's how
Yeah.
we've been able to dissect that a little bit more on what are the really important things that you're going to ask for the seller
Hmm.
to fix and then verify with them. I received your email. I received, just make sure that they understand that you have taken the time to read their AI
Yeah.
because we're all using it.
Yep.
And make sure that they understand that you understand what they're really trying to get after. And
Yeah.
then once you understand that, then you're going to write a fresh email or you're going to deal with it with an attorney or somebody that can assist depending on the
In
level.
essence, you're overriding the AI in a way.
Yeah.
You're breaking the cycle rather than just feeding AI with more AI and the AI bots are battling each other. You're breaking it and saying, you know what, stop that. We're going to actually get to the root of the issue. We're going to document what we're actually going to happen or what we talked about and how we're going to move forward. So,
Let's go to the
yeah,
next slide.
let's keep going.
It's got a couple more minutes left.
Yep,
So
protecting your
we're going to
own
give you
voice.
some, just to wrap up the session tonight, I want to give you guys some ideas on what you should and should not be doing. I have heard as I've been kind of traveling across the states, Some people from other companies mostly that are using it improperly. I want to make sure that Best Choice Realty agents by and far are trained so they're not going to get themselves in hot water and then I
Yeah.
don't have to deal with their
Yeah.
issues, right?
Yeah, for
So
sure.
don't rely on, moreover, some of those kind of things. You don't use just the large learning models or all of those chats or the AI to draft anything that has anything to do with a contract or legal addenda. That should not be put through chat. I heard somebody taking all the documents from, I'm not going to even say what state, but they took all the
Ugh,
documents, which are copyright, you guys, and putting it into their AI bot and then hoping that the AI would give them the correct legal basis. Do not do that as well. That you could
no.
be, cause you a lot more pain. All of your chats or your AI can be subpoenaed. I don't know if you knew that. And
Yep.
so you want to focus when you're looking at using your AI, focus on the specifics and making maybe strategic or giving you some direction. But ultimately, you're the one that's going to disseminate the information and make the determination. So make sure you're giving it enough information, but not giving it, you know, information that's not
Yeah.
copy,
Well, and
stuff
what
that you
I
shouldn't be
like
doing.
that's on this slide too is the term embrace mild wonkiness because it's so human to be just to be a little bit like, I don't know, maybe you missed a typo or you you made had that one of those rare honest things that you said where it's pretty just blunt, rather than inflating something because the AIs constantly do that. Misrepresentation or lack of disclosure are those are the number one issues that
That's
we're
the ones.
encountering.
That's the what we're seeing in our office the
Yes,
most is
where agents are getting in hot waters because of
yeah.
one of these two things: misrepresentation, misrepresenting a buyer or a property, and the lack of disclosure if the agent has knowledge. So, an example of that, we've got a picture of a.
The house looks great staged.
Looks
One of our
cute,
listings.
cute.
But we put this listing into chat just to see what it would come up with as far as making us a marketing description. And it makes it's really exaggerated. I mean, it's
Yeah.
like almost to the
Move
extreme.
in ready, perfect for this type of person. It's fully updated,
And it's not. It needs
gorgeous hardwood
paint,
floors.
it needs some sanding, it needs a little bit of sweat
You can
equity.
see even in the corner of this picture, there's some repairs right there, even on the wall that you can see in the corner there.
It's not move-in
It's
ready.
not fully updated. No, no.
So you want to edit for accuracy and make sure that you have put the fair housing. You can upload, and I would encourage you to do that if you are going to be using your AI to write your descriptions for you. You better feed your AI right now if you haven't done this and find the local state that you work out of, as each state has different fair housing guidelines, and upload that into your chat. That's something that's on the World Wide Web,
Yeah.
and make sure that you're at least all your AI or your chat is making you compliant for fair housing.
Yeah, because tip, there's federal fair housing guidelines, and then there's also states, and the states can vary. So if they're pulling only from the federal, they might be missing some extra ones that are applicable for our state.
Okay. I think that we got a couple more slides and then we'll wrap, but using AI safely, yes, we want you using it for marketing. It really polishes our listings. Some of us struggled. I was probably one of them. I had one of those books. This is a real old timer. That book got really, really expensive. I had like an ad writer book that I used to train every time I do a listing class. I'd tell all of the people in my class, buy the ad writer. And now you don't have to buy the ad writer because you have AI. You are able to basically create some creative works by prompting the AI of what you're trying to create, and it comes up with an ad for you. So yes, I want you using it for marketing. Yes, I want you using it to make your social media posts even better and more consistent. That's ideally what you want with social. Create the scripts for you. For those of you who need some extra help in knowing how to say something, that's when you should be using AI. Organization, I don't know about you, but at home, I'm not as organized as I am in the office. So
Yeah.
that's a great way to kind of give you some tips of how to organize your business or to create more time and space for you. If you're going to go meet with an attorney, yeah, go ahead and prompt your AI on what you're trying to accomplish, or maybe draft something up. But certainly do not send that. But use it maybe before you're meeting with the attorney. We've done that, and it's
Yeah.
been very successful. And then upload, I already said to upload the fair housing, your respective state. Shannon, what should they not do?
Oh, your AI is not your attorney. So definitely do not claim that in any form of regard. But it's not going to be able to legally interpret the document. It is not an attorney. Don't use it for contract drafting. I think some people will start using it for some terminology that they want to put on a blank addendum or something like that. Do not do that. Please do not do that. Do not do that. Do not do that. I don't know how many times I need to say that. Do not do that. Consumers and agents are using this as well. We're uncovering this now more is they're using it for pricing the property. They're using the AI rather than actually doing a legitimate CMA.
And you want to be using certified data.
Yes.
Through the MLS in order to identify the comparable properties. Do not take the aggregates from all of these other websites, which is what ChatGPT does. I'm just going to call them out on it. And they're going to take and aggregate the data in kind of an average way. It does not do a good job in taking that certified data and doing a good job at understanding and interpreting based on what you see in the field.
Now, is it helpful? Yes, I would say it is helpful just to kind of see, but I still would go, like Rochelle is saying, you still need to use the actual certified data from the Northwest MLS or the Coeur d'Alene MLS or whatever MLS that you're a part of, so that way it's truly accurate.
Don't upload clients' financials.
Yeah.
I mean, I went to a class almost 2 years ago, and I need to get the word out more, but client financials, your business financials, that kind of stuff should not be uploaded into
you're trusting an AI bot with someone's contract information, their email address, their phone numbers, their bank routing and account numbers. I mean, these are things that I would not do.
Right. And then confidential negotiations. It is training your AI that that's how you work or that's how you do things. And anything that's confidential should not be put into your AI. And certainly not on the final decision. You're the final decision on everything
or the
that
client.
You do with the real estate, or the client is.
The client is the one that ultimately makes the call. Yeah. This is a big no-no. This is why I say do not do this, do not do this, do not do this.
Somebody did do this.
Somebody did it. Yeah, somebody did do this. So you can see this is in Washington Addendum 34 language inserted as Title A1. Do not do this. And the reason for that is that you, in essence, are using the ChatGPT, just like we talked about earlier. You, in essence, are taking on all of the liability for what the AI has created for you, and now it is yours. So you are practicing law, and you could lose your license.
So what should you do if your client uses chat and sent this? Can you do that?
They could provide it to you, but I would go through that with them and make sure it is attorney approved language.
Okay. So if a client, so if I had contacted this agent and the agent said, Rochelle, that wasn't me that wrote this. It's not in my chat history. My client sent this to me and wanted to include this as part of the contract. Yes, I can do that, but I would have to make sure buyer and seller initial that, and and that source came from the client, not from the agent. So that is how you avoid and stay out of trouble.
Yeah. So the key on this is, could the client provide the language? Potentially, but the seller on the other side would have to sign off on it. But you as the agent should not be procuring language from ChatGPT and taking it on as your language that is approved. It is not approved. Do not do that. These are our attorneys that we would recommend in Washington and in Idaho. There's several that you could use. All of these would be willing to do a consult with you. All of them are great. All of them are vetted. So if you need to screenshot this, do it, call them. They're the ones that you can get some of that attorney approved language for when you are in that circumstance.
Okay. So the takeaways, I would say, where is this going, you guys? It's going to have more. Just like I think in the turn of the century when we had all of the websites, the wwws,
the .com era,
.com era, they were all competing, much like they're competing right now between all of these AI bots, from Grok to...
This is like the Yahoo versus Google.
Yeah, it really is. And so it's not much different as far as I'm concerned, but there's going to be more, and there are going to be more agents and more consumers using it. So you've got to be aware of what to consider. So I'm glad you guys took the time out of your day to watch this and to participate. There will be more regulation. We talk about this in the MLS meetings and in the board the Realtor Association, those board meetings, it's talked about in the usage of AI from consumers and agents and what to contend with. Everything we've talked about today would fall into a line with the proper regulation and education that we currently exist. But who knows, 6 months down the road, Shannon, we might see that we might have to pull something out of our recording because it's changing so fast. There will be more educated consumers, and that will be interesting to see which consumers go to which AI platform over another.
With education comes empowerment, right?
Yep.
So it's just, there's going to be more of that. So being able to get ahead of it is important. Knowing how to respond to it is important because it's not going away.
Okay. I think that's the last. We're here to help. If there's any questions, we'll open the line just for a quick question. If there was anybody that had a question specifically for Shannon or for me, Virginia, maybe you could look at the chat. We'll kind of take a see if there was any questions that came through.
I think I'm the only other person who wrote something in here, and I said AI always tries to sound legal, and we are not attorneys, so keep it simple. Less is more. And I got the less is more from Shannon today, but I think that and I see this with my new agents all the time. They send me their offers, and I'm reading through this. I had one today. It was a full 34 on a seller carry, and I was like, stop yourself right now. Let's go over this. This is all in the form. We are not attorneys. We do not practice law. Let's stick to what we know.
Yep, use the established forms.
There was one of our agents, and she had sent me something yesterday, Virginia, on that same note, where her client would not sign the buyer service agreement, the one that we have in Washington specifically. There obviously is a different one in Idaho and Oregon, but this was specifically to Washington, and clearly had used some sort of AI.
They fed it into AI
to negotiate with our agent. And this agent asked me, can I do some of these changes or modifications to the addendum? And so I went through it with her on the phone as I was driving yesterday, and we identified, as far as exclusive versus non-exclusive, that's negotiable. And that's up to you to make a determination as their agent, whether you're willing to accept that type of arrangement, an exclusive versus a non-exclusive relationship. But as far as some of the legal terms that this particular agent was asking about, and this client
they were getting
specifically
super specific about certain things.
I told her, I said, you know what? I would have a hard no on some of these legal terms because I don't think this AI is understanding the kind of things we're dealing with in Washington State. And nor would I want that adjustment on our contract that's been approved by our attorney. So do a hard no on number 7, number 8, number 9, but on number 1, let's have some flexibility. Let's have some discussion on why they're asking for these things.
So again, they did the right thing. They hit the pause button.
They did.
They disseminated. They called,
and then they got the signature. I heard today. Got the
signature.
So and there was not a lot of negotiation when it came really down to it. I don't know if the agent did the non-exclusive. I would be curious to see the final product, but I did get a note from her this morning saying they signed.
Yeah.
And I was like, great.
Yeah. So funny how a phone call can solve that.
So if you're running into some of those types of situations, we're only a call away. Any of us can answer those types of questions, managing brokers, certainly. I believe even one of our accounting ladies that's on the call, she has her license as well. So she can answer those types of questions. And we would be happy to help.
Yeah.
Did anything else come up? Anna asked a question, did we receive something how do we respond? I think we answered that question.
Yep.
Did you ignore them or do you have legal action? We don't ignore. We again take from a place of understanding.
From a compliance standpoint, the way that our leadership style is that we always take everything into consideration, but we want to hear from the agent first before we respond to anything. So kind of take that to heart. It's like we're never just going to take the side of the client. We want to hear from you first before you respond.
We want all the facts. So we would reach out.
Yeah.
You did receive a form that looked different on my recent pending transaction. Be better to take a second look. Just send it to support at Best Choice Realty Law and say, please, can you take another look or have a manager review this?
And good job, Anna. It's like you see it, it looks funny, you hit the pause.
Okay.
Yep. Okay.
All right, you guys have a good week.
Thanks, you guys. Good to see you guys.
All right.